What you cooking, Mom?
Cut. Fucking cut.
Now I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go purchase one. That's the problem.
This ain't for me. I was like,
the background is mom and dad was addicted to crack cocaine. Okay. Right?
Hi, how are ya? Welcome to another episode of the Doc Holliday Show, where we love to uplift black men, black woman, black teen, black child, black royalty, the magically melanateds. I'm starting muting your microphone because you want some new stuff. But anyway, I am joined by a magically melanated royal. When I talk about black men, black woman, black teen, black child, black royalty, this is black royalty. Coach Glenn Rogers Sr., the legend. Coach, how you doing, man?
Doing great.
First of all, Coach, thank you for joining us. Now, I know who you are, Coach. Legendary, not only just legendary high school coach in Memphis, but this entire area, but just legendary man, legendary person. I know who you are, Coach, but for everybody that's watching, just give the people a little bit of your background, where you're from, and some of your upbringing.
First thing I want to say is I'm just a plain, simple guy trying to make it this cold, cruel world we live in. I got started in high school in the 9th grade at Manassas High School. Tried to go out for football then, but Johnny Johnson said, I don't know. So he didn't give me any equipment. We got integrated here in the city of Memphis in 1966. I had been passing by Humes High School for 3 years. It's about a mile north of Humes. And so I stopped at Humes and decided to attend there my senior year in high school. And that's the first time I went out for football officially. I also went out for baseball, started in both of them at Humes High School. Left Humes and went to Memphis State University in 1967. And in 1967, I went to a Florida State football game. And I saw how good Florida State looked and how bad I thought Memphis State looked. So I said, you might need to go out for football. And so in the in the spring of 68, I decided to go out for football at Memphis State. And I know that being a walk-on, a lot of people don't know exactly what you're talking about walking on. I wasn't given a scholarship.
Yeah.
So I went out and didn't receive the scholarship during that spring, came back again in the fall. And during the fall, I got injured, had a cast on, did not get any surgery or anything like that. So I came back out again in the spring. All the time when I say came back out, I was there on the university ground at football practice, but I wasn't participating because of the injury. Then Stan Davis came out in 69, spring also. So that made 2 of us there at that time. And, of course, that 69 spring, both of us received scholarships. And so from there, we went ahead and played during the fall of 69. During that time, in 1969, I was on second team defense, and I started off playing offense. And, of course, in my situation being black, they put us on the scout team, put me on the scout team, and they saw that I didn't mind hitting, so that's when they had me play defense. Now, I kind of skipped over something I thought that was important while I was trying out, and that was I was coming out the shower one day, and this guy kept looking at me. And I said, why you keep looking at me? And he said, my mama told me that you all got tails and y'all monkeys. So I looked back at him. I said, you go home and tell your mama she lied to you. And so he took that, and I took what he said, and we went about our way. Of course, as we continued on into the 69 season, we were a pretty good football team that year. Our offense was averaging 30-something points a game. So we had 4 seniors on the varsity, and then we had 4 sophomores on the varsity. Of course, during that time, I played goal line defense and also played almost half of every game. But when it came back to the spring of 1970, the seniors were gone. That usually means that all your sophomores going to be on the first team. But I was the only one that wasn't on the first team. And they put a guy by the name of Al Harvey to play quarterback over in front of me. But he had never practiced with us a single day, so I was pretty upset about that. So I went in and talked to Spook Murphy about it. He said, Rogers, the best player is going to play. And, of course, I knew that wasn't true because he wasn't close to me. And that's the way it got started there at Memphis State.
Now these are trail. See, and the thing about it, you not only have you trailblazed, but you've had to persevere through things because we're going back to 1967. You say 68, right. Then 69. Now tell me about Coach Jones. Said you tried to go out for the squad now because for people that don't know, what Coach is saying is that when he got to Memphis State, he was the first magically melanated, was what I like to say, but African-American black player on the team. We're going to go back to that. But even starting off, Coach Jones, right? You said at Manassas you wanted to play.
Coach Johnny Johnson.
Coach Johnny Johnson. You wanted to play football, and he wouldn't let you.
No, he wouldn't,
white coach, white team?
No, it was black
coach?
School, black school.
So, yeah. Well, I thought so. What happened?
Black school. I don't know. I guess they might have thought they had the best. I asked Stan. I said, Stan, how did you – because Stan's a year behind me. I said, how did they let you play football? He said, I played junior high. I said, I didn't play junior high. That was in 7th, 8th grade then. And I didn't understand that. I wasn't the biggest person out there. But usually, if you go out for a team, they give you some equipment and run you off or something.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even get any equipment.
They didn't get that opportunity.
No,
but how was it at going to Humes? Because Humes was another situation, correct?
Right.
Talk about that, Coach, because I know Manassas was, but that's why I was like, oh, I know them some brothers, them some magically melanateds at Manassas tripping like that on with Coach Rogers. But talk about the Humes experience.
Well,
Coach.
Humes, it was all white. And, of course, Tommy Spires was the head coach, and he worked us real hard, And I learned through time that whenever blacks show up in a white situation, then they work us hard.
Oh, yes, sir. Because
they don't want us there. And, of course, I didn't go there with that attitude of quitting anything. I went there to make the team. So I made the team, and ended up starting. We had a quarterback by the name of Bobby Bramlett at the time. And I also went out for baseball, and I started center field for them. So that was the first time any black had played baseball or football at Humes because it was an all-white school. I was going by that school every day going to Manassas. Had to go another little bit more than a mile and to walk in the rain, cold, heat, or whatever. And I said, well, I'm going to stop because, number one, Johnny Johnson won't let me play football. And I just told my mom I wanted to go to Humes, and that's where I ended up starting my high school at Humes.
Talk about that I guess that atmosphere and the tenor of things in that situation, because of course we got the civil rights going on. We got, I don't care we still got Jim Crow and dealing with all these racial inequalities and violence a lot of times. So how was it being the only magically melanated in that situation and some of the things you had to endure and persevere through?
Well, I would be honest when I say that Humes was a lot more receptive to me being there than I received that same type of reception at Memphis State. But I never had any problem. I guess when you playing and they're giving you a chance and then you really doing well and they accept you more. It's just like my situation when I was at Memphis State. I felt that if I'm playing and I'm on the football team, I'm considered black and okay. But those others, they not black and okay. They use the N-word.
Yeah.
So I got along real well with them at Humes. And matter of fact, I learned a lot from them because I learned that you really don't even have to open a book to make an 8 hours. So they put me in the honor society and everything. I was catching it. I mean, not grade-wise, but you had to work hard for your grades at all black schools. You had to present yourself academically, and they had me on college prep. And the only thing I got with college prep is I can't even change oil right now.
Yeah.
So I couldn't take any vocational class. I had to take algebra 1, algebra 2, trigonometry, calculus, and Latin and things like that in high school. So high school was some good times.
Now we get to Memphis State. You're the first magically melanated African American player to play for the team. Which I played there, coach, and I've been knowing you 30-some years, if more than that. And I didn't even know the story until I read it. Evan Barnes, Commercial Appeal. I shot him out, did an excellent job with the article. I mean, it caught a lot of us by surprise, and I got a little emotional, had emotional, like teary-eyed. For one, because I didn't know, then knowing you and having the respect I have for you, you going through that, then I get pissed off and mad. I want to fight for you, but I know you stronger than me if you're able to contain your emotions back then. Yeah. But just talk about that, coach, being in that atmosphere, because I know how sports are. The fact of the matter is, if we're black and we're playing sports for a team, like you said, we okay. Yeah. But I tell them, if we playing for the other team, now we the N-word. That's just how it goes. Right. You know what I mean? So that's why you look at that love and like, is it really love? And I'm like, no, it really ain't love. It's just that I'm performing something for you, making you some money, and I'm entertaining you, so I'm good. But just talk about going into that environment, because Spook Murphy is the legendary coach that people talk about, but you had some situations you had to deal with.
I'm hearing you say the word love. I never felt love at Memphis State. First thing, when I went out for football, I also went out for baseball too. And Al Brown told me, called me in, he said, Rogers, you can't go out for both of them. I said, you can't go out for both of them. The seasons don't entwine anything. Why can't I? And he didn't give me a reason. So he just told me, you can't. You need to decide you're going to play football or baseball. And of course, my baseball coach was American Legion, and he was pretty upset because he thought I might be able to play in the league in baseball and not football. But my feelings were that curveball sometimes comes towards you and go back across that plate. So I said, I'm going to stay with something that I can go straight and do a job at. So I went with football. And, of course, when I went out, it was a player by the name of Kevin Mallon. He came from Catholic, and he came out also, but he got injured and never came back. And really, when he went out for a pass, how it is sometimes when you go out for a pass, the receiver don't catch it, and then they always jump on the ground. So we thought, since he missed the pass, that was a reason he jumped on the ground, but he ended up tearing up his knee, so that was the end of his college attempt at playing football. But I stayed around, and first day of practice, they worked real hard. Never worked that hard another single day in the other 3 years that I was there with football. But I was already catching it in class because I took English, and I would do a 7-page report. And the only thing I would get back on the 7th page was a red F. Never got any explanation. And every time I did a paper, same thing. So I had to take English 101 twice, okay? English 102 twice. Because that, I think, at the time, and I still believe it 50 years later, that was their weeding out of us being students at the school. So I wasn't only catching it on the athletic field, I was catching it academically too. And it was just that one subject, English. If you didn't pass freshman English, you couldn't pass on sophomore English. So I spent 5 years at Memphis State. So when I say my sophomore year in football, that basically was true my sophomore year, but I still stayed. I stayed those 5 years. And I'd never, in '68 when Martin Luther King got killed, and when Stan and I finally gained scholarships, he told us, you all can't participate in marches or anything.
Who told y'all that?
That's what Spook Murphy
Coach Spook Murphy.
Yeah. He said, now, if you do, then I'm going to take your scholarship. Because we had on campus blacks that were planning on walking. And he said, if you all participate in it, you won't get an opportunity to stay on this team. So we didn't. And, of course, in our situation, Stan and I were always roommates when we went on the road. Then after that first year, then the next year, they started putting the first team and second team together. And that was the first time that we had an opportunity where black and white were in the same room at the same time. Because Stan and I both, we didn't stay on campus. We only came on campus the night before the game because we always went to a movie and just had our team thing going on then. And we left there when they built the new dormitory, then stand out decided that we're going to stay on campus our senior year. So we stayed on campus our senior year.
Now, Coach, what I guess some of the, I guess the racial comments that you would have to deal with, that you heard, because I know one thing out in the world in class, but damn, on the football team, bro, I mean, I know, because I know now when I was playing in the 90s, it's different. It's the majority of us. So you say something wrong, you're going to get smacked. So how did you deal with that in some of the racial terms and some of a lot of this blatant racism you had to deal with?
Well, first time I other than the player watching me while after I come out the shower, was in the spring of '69 when I first went out for the team. Then we had the spring game at the stadium, and of course, me playing safety, you the wide receiver, you come across the middle, then I'm gonna hit you.
Punch him, you
and
hit
so
him in the mouth. Yeah.
And I hit him. His name was Tim Boyd. I remember him just like yesterday. And while we were on the ground, he kicked me. So my mom in the stand. But if my mama wasn't in the stand, you can't kick me,
Yeah.
And so we got to fight, and they put us out the game. And then Spook Murphy, because he called down and told him put Rogers back in the game. Now that's the first time any physical altercation. And last time, because I didn't have physical altercations while I was at Memphis State. And then that first season that we played Stan and I, Stan was on offense. So offense is on one side of the ball, defense on the other side of the line. And I just remember being at Ole Miss and being a 19-year-old and scared to death. Every face in the stadium said, and they all had their rubber flags, said, get that nigger, get that nigger. And I told Stan on the way out, because all the blacks, they were outside. They in the stands, but they were outside the stadium. I said, man, I ain't never come back to Mississippi as long as I live. and then I reflect back when I look at when Ole Miss was interested in recruiting my son. And when the Ole Miss coach came, I said, Coach, I'm telling you up front, my son not going to even visit your school, so y'all can offer him all you want, but he won't be coming to Ole Miss. And I told Glenn that. I said, you can choose any school you want to choose, but you're not going to Ole Miss. So he didn't go to Ole Miss. We didn't visit or anything. So that was something there. And I tell you, when I look back, and I hadn't looked back until Evan came and talked to me about football, asked me a bunch of questions. Then my insides kind of, felt twitched and painful. And be honest, I shed a few tears explaining some things because it was really tough. I told Evan, I said, Evan, we had a 40-year reunion, and all the players were telling about the good times. And then it was my turn. And I looked at him, I said, hey, I didn't have any good times at all playing football for Memphis State. I called hell. And they didn't understand that, but I did. I said, one of the things that stood out most for me was when Stan and I was in line trying to get our lunch one day, and somebody yelled out, give you niggas an inch, and y'all want to take a mile. And so to this day, and I never told Evan that person's name, but that person applied for a sister's job on my staff when I was at Southside as the head coach. And I told my principal, I said, Mr. Johnson, I'm not going to interview him. He said, why not? I said, I can't tell you that I'm 100% factually right, but in my heart, my soul, I believe I am. I said that I believe he's the person that made that statement. And, of course, Stan and I, there was two of us doing that lunch line, and it's probably 50, 60 of them out there. So, even though I thought that I wasn't going to charge anybody anything, but I grew up in the ghetto, single parent. Nobody in my, I guess, background that give me any type of knowledge base of how to and what to about a lot of things. Because my mom was a 16-year-old And ended up because her mom told her, you had him, you're going to take care of him. So that's about as far as she went, was a sophomore in high school. So I thought about when I got injured, and I know I'm jumping. But,
no, Coach, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
My senior year, I got hurt the first play of the first game. And I told Glenn this also. I said, I don't really know if I was hurt so bad that I needed a knee operation. I wasn't given a mental opportunity of expression from the coaching staff or from the doctor. All I know is they told me your anterior cruciate and your medial collateral is torn, and we're going to operate. And when they did that, they didn't have to be concerned about Glenn Rogers Sr. anymore because he can come in on his crutches and things. Because I just did not accept the fact that they would not play me because if I'm good enough to start on your goal line, anywhere between the 20 to 5 or whatever, why am I not good enough to play when you're 65 or 75 yards away? And I asked Spook Murphy, and he only gave me that short answer all the time. Rogers, the best player, is going to play. But the best player was not playing because I know that neither one of them were good as I was at that position. And every Sunday after a game, we'd always do our sprints, and I was always first. But because I'm first and hurting so, because I'm saying in my heart, I ain't going to let them beat me running from here over there. And Spook Murphy would always yell, Raj, you quit going home over the weekend drinking that old bad wine. It's just a stigma that they want to put on us that we just drink. Now, I was guilty of something, but it wasn't drinking.
Yeah. You got the wrong vice. You pointing out the wrong thing, my guy.
Yeah. No, it wasn't alcohol. And I don't know. I looked at my senior year, and I really felt, Dallas Cowboys had given me paperwork and stuff, and I thought I had the opportunity to play. And when I got hurt, I was ready to just quit school, even though that was my last year. And my mama said, I told you years ago, I hadn't raised no quitter. So I stayed around, graduated. I never thought about coaching or teaching. I just thought, hey, I had the talent. I felt that's person, in which I know we got a lot of college players that feel that way. But like I taught my high school players, you got to have something else to fall back on. So you got to get in those books, and you got to do your job there. And so I ended up, again, being the first black, again, going to Southside High School and coaching at Southside, first black. And the other two coaches were white, and they were from Memphis. So that was my first job in 72, that fall. And in 76, I became the head football coach there at Southside. And, of course, the rest is more history.
More good history, because not only are you a legendary football coach here, those Southside teams did great things, great players. Your son, one of them, Glenn Rogers Sr., who eventually went to Memphis State, my guy, played professional football, NFL and CFL football. But just talk about all those experiences, Coach, because all I can do is imagine. I can't even imagine. I just think about living during the 60s when that time, because it was racial upheavals everywhere, especially here in Memphis. You get Martin Luther King gets shot and killed here, and I can't imagine being in your position wanting to lash out, do something, but your coach telling you can't. I mean, as a young man, how is that going in your head? Like, you want to play football, but at the same time, how we're treated as a race of people is entirely more important,
right?
Just than playing some sports. So how were you torn internally trying to deal with that?
Well, I'll tell you that I still participated in going to listen down at Mason Temple. I still did that. I just couldn't be visible marching, and I wasn't only saying to myself that scholarship is more important than supporting my race. But I never really – I just wanted to be treated right myself, and so I knew when I looked at the sanitation workers having the sign said, I am a man. I look at the fact that Spook Merchant gave me a nickname, Civil Rights Rogers. And I didn't like having that name. Not that I didn't care about civil rights. All I'm saying to you is that you giving me a name because I want to be treated right. And every man and woman and child ought to be treated right. And had I not loved the game of football, so then I may not have ever gotten to be that coach or got to touch the lives I've touched. And God blessed me to come into contact with a lot of young people and even teachers and former coaches, and was a part in their lives. In 2012, my football and baseball players gave me a banquet at the Hilton, thanking me for helping them be successful. And the greatest thing I think that any coach or anybody want is to be remembered in life. Remembering death it doesn't last that long. You know, memories don't stay around. And me being here, I feel honored to be on your podcast, and I love the fact that you called me. I was on the road on the way again to support one of your sons,
yeah.
And it's been a great life for me. It's been a tough life, but I was able to persevere and work with the youth of the day. And again, I put in adults as former teachers that I've had because I've seen them be successful. I've recommended them for jobs, and they've went on and been successful. And I've gotten so many calls since that interview. And I wasn't even thinking about interview. I don't go out broadcasting. I was there 50 years ago, and I was the first black player in football. I think it's an honor. I didn't think it was 50 years ago because, and I hate to use the word hell. It's not a place you want to be in. I mean, it's hot, but it was tough. And I'm not going to sit here, nor will I be anywhere and tell anybody I enjoyed being at Memphis State. I was glad I got out. I survived. And I was glad that I've got 3 sons now, and I've been able to be a role model for them. And I constantly remind them that they've got to be a role model for others. And also they've got to remember that even though you're Rogers, you hadn't earned that name. I had to go through. But I wasn't preaching and teaching that to them back in the day. But now I can say that more and more to them. And I know my sons love me. And had it not probably been for Glenn Jr., I probably wouldn't have gotten that interview because he called Evan and told him. I said, hey, Evan, and I didn't know that until after the article. You know, I just said, why commercial people want to talk to me? He said, Dad, they want to interview you. They want to ask you some questions. I said, for what? About what?
Yeah.
You know, because I've coached and I've been interviewed. I'm not coaching. I hadn't. And then when I was administrator down in Tunica and even here in Memphis, I wasn't getting interviewed for anything, you know. And I'm thinking, had I had a choice between coaching and administration, I would have chose administration because I was able to touch more lives. I've loved and enjoyed being able to touch our people because there's been a need there. There still is. Even though I was the first black, we still got things going on that we need to make adjustments on. We've got nobody even now at Memphis State that's black in major power in the thing. We got somebody that's here, but we need folk up at the top spots. And I tell you, Glenn has done a great job out at MUS. They love him out there, and I'm hoping I don't get him in trouble or anything, but he's introduced me to a lot of white men, and I don't remember many of his names. Yeah, I know Bobby Austin because he's the head coach and one or two of the other coaches and things. But the experience I had at Memphis State when I used to bring a young man by the last name, Diaz. I'm not going to say his first name, but, he kind of threw mud at me when he wasn't with us, when he got with the white folk. And I'm just, I don't think I'm a racist, but I just think that for the most part, our society has some prejudice in them. But I've never mistreated anybody. I've always been fair. I've always been professional in dealing with people. But I still see so much negativity going on against us just because of our color. People not getting to know us, not putting forth the effort to understand that I bleed the same color blood you bleed. I have the same desire to be successful as you do. But when you look at the scale of who has what, doing what, we've done more and we've gotten less. We've gotten so much going on now that people have risen on our backs.
Oh, yes, sir.
And they've not given us credit for anything. And I tell my sons, life don't owe you anything. You got to go out and get it. And I got a grandson that went to school in January 18th to go to University of Miami. Memphis State never recruited him. And that, people say, well, the interviewer asked me, he said, well, tell me, why did you let your son go to Memphis State if you felt the way? I said, I don't feel a dislike. I have no malice in my heart for Memphis State. I said, I don't love Memphis State. My son loves Memphis State. He bleeds blue. I can't bleed with red. Memphis State all right with me. I'm not going to say or turn any of my athletes when I was coaching away from Memphis State. Matter of fact, they had Jared Knowlton, wide receiver out there, and one of the fastest guys I had on the team. I said, if I was going to turn my son away from Memphis State, I could have done that, even though he said the reason he went. And I asked him, because I didn't ask him 20 years or 30 years ago. He said the reason he went because he wanted his family to see it. I got a grandson in Miami. I'm going to see my grandson play. And if he starts, I'm going to see him play every game, And my thing is this. If you put forth the amount of effort that it takes to be successful, you can be. I look at the fact that I applied for Memphis State assistant job, defensive back. That year that they hired 2 other high school coaches. But when my turn came, you're in the finals, Rogers, but I already got 2 high school coaches. Then my thought is, and my mindset says, why did you not wait till you interviewed all the high school coaches didn't pick? Why is it that being a former Tiger, that's not good enough? And then being the first black, that's not good enough. And I told my son, you can't be, when it comes to competition against the white, which is totally wrong. We can't be as good. We got to be better. And then in being better, your better got to be so outrageously high and so outrageously far ahead, and you can't. You just got to understand that's the way our society is. It's like I also use LeBron. Hey, I love LeBron. Wherever he go, I go. LeBron thought because he made all that money, or still making all that money, that he gonna be treated, or his children gonna be treated. They ain't gonna be treated no different. He went to L.A. and saw the black words on
his gate.
On the gate.
Nigga, yeah.
He had to go back and reteach his children then. He had to let them know reality. The reality is Mike Tyson, Mike Jackson, any of Muhammad Ali, anybody that's black that rises to the top, the white man said, I'm gonna bring you where you supposed to be. You don't have no right thinking you in the same ballpark with us. It's eating them up that so many of us are making money. The more money they make, the more they feel like we trying to be equal. You ain't got no business being equal. And I saw that as a teenager at Memphis State. And when I think about Memphis State, I looked at my son and my picture on the wall. And then they got Tiger Pride, Tiger Tradition Family. And these names up under my son and I picture are father and sons. But they took that down. That had been up since 2013, but they took it down a year ago.
Over at the practice facility?
Yeah, it's not there anymore. And I didn't know that until recently. So, like I said, I'm not bitter, and I hope I'm not coming across that way. But if I am,
you got strong, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I've not been quiet about what happened to me at Memphis State or my feelings about Memphis State. No one has presented me any presentation or interview that asked me how I feel. You know, I've been, I guess you'd say, like a distant lover. You can't love at no long distance. You can't get up close and personal. So I saw so many things. When I listened to my son be interviewed in the house Tuesday, and he said, my dad deserved this and my dad deserved that. And he brought tears to my eyes because, hey, I never spoke out like that and said what I deserve. All I knew is when Glenn Jr. was a sophomore at Memphis State, I saw in him what I was seeing in me years earlier. He had just intercepted football against Florida. And, you know, I was working on a plus 30. I already had my master's, but I was trying to be certified at Trevecca. But I'm racing down to Southern Miss to see my son play because I know he's getting ready to start this game. But he didn't play much at all. And so I said, well, I didn't have a father. I mean, no one to speak up for me. But I went to Coach Fox and said, Coach, my son ain't going to go through what I went through now.
James Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, you recruited. But I'm stopping by you before I go see the head coach. And I went to see the head coach and talk. And I said, Coach, you know my son wasn't treated right. And I expect him to be treated right. Next game, he didn't start that first play. But from that point on, the second play on, he was starting the defensive back for Memphis State. But if I would have had that father there, then I don't know, he'd probably called hell back in the 60s. But me being a coach, hey, you're not going to treat my son the way I was treated. And I expect him to feel the same way. I look at the Rogers tradition. I graduated. Glenn graduated. His wife graduated from Memphis State. My grandson, which is Glenn's son, graduated from Memphis State. I got a granddaughter at Memphis State now that's a freshman trying to be a nurse. And I could have had a grandson out there. You know, that's a lot of Rogers to
5 generations,
Yeah.
Coach, if I did my math, right?
Yeah.
Shoot, that is a lot of Rogers.
But you don't even recruit them. And then you, in the interview, Evan said, you asked me how I feel about Memphis State. I said, I don't have no feeling for Memphis State. I'll be honest. I mean, I would tell the president how I feel. Now, if you don't want to know how I feel, don't ask me how I feel. But how can my grandson was the #1 high school recruit for the state of Mississippi.
Baller, Marcus Rogers, your son's son. I know. Yeah, I know. You were exactly right.
#1.
Yeah.
But when he committed to Miami, they moved him to #2. But how can you have the contacts that you got, and maybe you don't know you got them, but if you don't know, it ain't my fault. I just won't take the blame for that. But he the #6 cornerback in the nation by ESPN. And then he tore up his knee his senior year. But Miami never got off. Oregon never got off. Now, Oregon's coach is the Miami coach now. But he had told Oregon coach, hey, you're in the top list, but I'm going to Miami. But now he just all smiles. I got you anyway.
End up with you anyway.
I got you anyway. And he loving every bit of it, you know. So, and I love him being there. Distance doesn't matter. You know, it's what you learn and how tough you get, how mature you get. And I think being away from home helps out. But, hey, he would have been away from home in Mississippi, being in Memphis. I wouldn't have gotten in his ear and said, you got to go now. because all of us graduated from there. But they would have stood a good chance of getting it. But, they don't think so, And I'm still, I'm a Memphis person. I've been here 72 years. You look at, I applied for the athletic director job. It wasn't meant for me again. But you're in the top 4, but Whedon got the job. I'm the only person that applied for the job, had a master's.
Shelby County
in
Schools, right?
Athletic
I remember that,
administration.
yeah.
Only one. But, you're in the finals. I don't need to be in the finals. I need to be the one. I needed to have been the one. I might still be working now. I still got a lot of energy.
You do.
I got a lot.
And Coach, and I got to tell you, see, we didn't need you marching in civil rights. We needed you exactly where you were, because it took a lot more. It took a lot of courage to do what you were doing. Now, civil rights was groups.
Yeah.
You were by yourself. So you doing that, I appreciate you. I felt like, I'm like, hold on, bro. I didn't know Coach Rogers was, as long as I've been knowing, you the first, and he dealt with that and all of that. So I'm telling you, from me, young dude, I'm an old dude now, to Royal Elder, I appreciate you, because you're the reason why I was able to get a scholarship at Memphis State. And my whole thing is, my experience at Memphis State wasn't all that good either. So I feel you, but it was nothing like what you had to go through. So when I sit back and think about, because I'm serious, I told you I'm reading the interview, me and Isaac Bruce. I mean, because he called me, and I'm like, man, I didn't know all of that, man. So for you not to bring that up to us, so you won't skew our opinion or our feelings toward our school, I salute you for that. But I look at you as a black man, I can't imagine what you was having to deal with there. And you're right, man. We always have to outwork the other races, and we still not going to get the same opportunity. So you have the right to feel however you want to feel.
Yeah, but I'm like I said earlier, if you're looking and listening and you think that I got any hatred for, hate is not in my dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like right and love blend in together. And when they blend in together, there's no place for hatred. And I totally understand our situation as a race, because they don't want us to feel good about ourselves.
At all.
I look
That's the
at
truth.
our ladies, and I ask you ladies that's looking, treat our men a little bit better than what some of you are doing. Because number one, they don't want you to have that cohesive family.
No, they don't. No,
That's strength.
Ooh.
The black family has always been strength. And I'm saying to any young black teenagers that, hey, listen to us old guys, all of us not dummies. Now we do have a lot of dumb old black guys, but we got the only culture that don't think highly of the elders. I don't care what or who that culture is, they listen to the elders, except for black. Oh, you don't know, you just OG, that stuff. I haven't got that out of my little son sometimes. I tell him about football. I go to a lot of his games because my grandson there. I go to Glenn's games. I got to fight with my brain and try to, and he probably hadn't heard me say this, but I don't want to hurt him because I'm not there. But if you playing, I don't want to name those schools because they might come back.
Yeah.
If you play in that school, and I know you're going to be about 30 or 40, hey, I'm going to see my grandson because he got a child. Plus, he doesn't stay here. I don't get an opportunity to see my middle son as much. And, of course, my youngest son said, Daddy, I ain't going to be no coach. I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of youth have done to young folk that could help him. And he could really help them because he's been around coaching all his life. He knows how to get value, and he knows how to get the best out of you. But one thing I don't do, I put substance inside of them, but I don't tell them to take that substance and drown yourself with it. So you got to be his own man, and I let him do that. I got 3 sons, all 3 of them different. I think Marcus is very egotistical, and he hear me say this because I know he looking.
Yeah, he gonna be watching.
He's really the first person that called me. He said, Daddy, I didn't know. I said, well, I didn't tell you that.
Yeah.
You know, I told him a little later, but I didn't tell him a lot of things that were said. And then I'm probably not saying some things. And then I want everybody to understand that when things get to rotating in your brain, sometimes they get a little jumbled up. So don't take a number that I might have given out like 1968 or 67 or whatever and say, well, he's not telling the truth. I don't have a reason not to tell the truth. There's nothing can be said different about history than what history is. See, that's what our other race don't want. They don't want their people to know about black history. They don't want them to know that we were treated this way. They don't want them to know about the Black Wall Street. They don't want them. And I feel embarrassed because I'm probably just not finding out about the Black Wall Street a couple of years ago. Yeah. Nobody told me that. You know, I've been around white folk and they ain't telling me, hey, we had people that were suited and booted and making big bucks.
Big bucks, yeah.
And y'all drop bombs, y'all just hang, y'all do things to our women, y'all do all kinds. And you saying, no, I don't want you to teach that. There's not a white child comes out of racism. The parents taught that racism. And just like I heard a white lady say on TV the other day, she said, racism gonna live forever. And she's telling the truth. It is. But we got to do a better job of supporting each other. We got to do that.
That's what this show is for, Coach, to teach black excellence, the excellence of the Magically Melanateds and real history. Yeah. Because we don't get it on mainstream media. That's why I hopped out of mainstream media, local TV, because, you know, opportunities don't present themselves the same way. You're paying me less than you're paying other people, and I'm working 50 times harder, and I'm succeeding. And but that's just all a part of it. That's why I say, Coach, you have a right to say what you want to say and feel the way you want to feel. The thing about it is that if we have pride and we express our true feelings on how we're treated, now we're considered to be angry or racist, and that ain't the case at all.
Right.
That's just how we get treated. So that's why I'm glad to have you on the show. I thank you for, you know, accepting the invitation, and you can come back on anytime because I appreciate you. Everything you've done, everything you're going to do, all the advice you've given us through all these years when we were just coming to your house and hanging out and chilling and not knowing any of this because you didn't tell us and we didn't know to ask. We just like, hey, Coach Rogers, Memphis Tiger, man, salute, dog, big OG. No, let me be quiet. You know what I'm saying? Because young people like myself need to shut the hell up when you talking.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you with sincere seriousness that I appreciate being here. And I hope your listeners have learned some things. And last thing I want them to think that there's a bitterness for me saying there's truth in what I'm saying. And I hold no grudges against anyone. With all that I've gone through, I'm like the song said, I'm a survivor. I don't go to bed cold. I don't go to bed hungry. I don't, have shame in my heart for where I came from. I know from whence I came. I'm proud of where I came. And I even today drove back by the last house that my mom had. And then I drove by Humes. I drove by Manassas. Drove by neighborhoods. Oh, wow. It's rough and it's tough. And I say to us as a people, we need to take care of our neighborhoods better. We need to do that for us because nobody else is going to do it. We got to support one another. And we got to keep it real with one another. It's not about that mentality that they've done to us as slaves in years past. When one go up, you pull them down, that crab mentality. No, we got to support. If a door is open for you, you open the door for somebody else. My challenge as a man is for my sons to do better than what I did. And I think all three of them are doing that financially. I think they're great people, role model-wise. And this might be sound egotistical, and I think I've tried to do the best I could. So if they look at me, that they see the image that I want in them so that we can get more and more and more people going forward in a positive direction. I mean, there's no sense in being upset and mad because, as they say, the white man that's just an excuse. I mean, it's damn true. So what you gonna do about it?
Yep.
Don't be talking about, hey, they ain't gonna let me. No, they not, because you're not making the effort to let them know. Hey, I could have easily took my shirt and pants and shoes and never showed back up at Memphis State because I was mad and upset. Well, who loss was that? That was my loss. I wouldn't be here on the Doc Holliday Show if it don't.
And Doc Holliday wouldn't be here because I probably wouldn't have been able to go to Memphis State to play football had you not went there and went through what you went through. So,
well, I thank you for all the positives, and I thank everybody that's watching for all the superlatives that I've received. I mean, I got people calling me. I'm trending here, Facebook here, and I'm not even a Facebook person. I'm not on what they call that. What that? I can't.
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah, all them.
Instagram.
Yeah,
what's the other word?
TikTok. Everything. Yeah.
But I keep hearing all these good things they said. And somebody said something good about me. I might want to read that, but I can't read that because I'm not a member of that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to become a member to read it.
Yeah.
But I want you to know that I got a lot of love in my heart for our people. Plenty of love. And I got enough. Like I've told people, hey, you can't, love is so wide and has so many degrees to it. You can't get it too hot and you can't stretch it too wide. We got to share more. Got to do it.
Well, Coach, on that note, hey, I appreciate you. And that's going to do it for another great episode of the Doc Holliday Show, where we love to uplift black men, black woman, black teen, black child, black royalty, the Magically Melanateds. We just highlighted a Magically Melanated with Coach Glenn Rogers Sr. That's going to do it. Thank you all for watching. Until the next time, we out. Coach, appreciate you, man. No, man, that was excellent, Coach. Excellent.
I don't know what I said.